our friends from the Czech Lusatia, from northern Bohemia, to Enzo Essenza and Laura Kochova and to Zbynek, who prepared a very interesting presentation to you about our vision of a cross-border three-country bridging and crossing university, the ETULIS, as I told you, the European Translational University, Lusatia, Jan Skala. Jan Skala was a Serbian citizen. He was killed at the end of the Second World War, quite tragically, by a Russian soldier in Wroclaw or in Silesia, being taken for a German, what he wasn't, because he was a Serbian. But he was a big communicator between the wars and before the war, between the borders between Serbian part of Germany, Poland, and Czech Republic. He lived in Prague to a certain period of time. So Jan Skala is a symbol for us. And so I'm very happy that we can now give the floor to Enzo Essenza, who will outline the idea of our cross-border university, which started, by the way, with the initiative from Andreas Kluge of the biomedical faculty in Bautzen. And so you have the floor.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Sorry, my kids are running around here behind me, so maybe you've seen them already on the screen for a little while, but now I will switch from my kids to the presentation. Let me try to share the screen with you. Can you see the presentation? Great. I'm trying to maximize it. Let's see if that works. Yeah. Okay. Great. So we will speak about the university, ETULIS, and we will speak especially about the part of ETULIS which is in the Czech Republic, because that's where I'm living. I'm not Czech originally. I now have a Czech passport, but I'm originally from Switzerland with German parents and Italian father, German mother and Italian father. So I have 3 passports overall, and I now also speak Czech. I'm presenting here something which has been developed as a cooperation with me and Zbynek and Laura Kochova. So this is not only my work, and I would like to thank them for the cooperation. The presentation is quite long, so I will make a little trick that I decide some slides I will present to you as a kind of like just what is the basic point, and some slides which are less self-explanatory I will explain in more detail, because otherwise it will just be too long. So the quick introduction is that we already have something. We have 2 things. One is an initiative which is called the Next Renaissance Initiative, which has as its flagship project the University for the Future. This is one part. The other part is that we have a school in Jindřichovice pod Smrkem, which is called Free Elementary School Ronya, which already is educating children with a free school philosophy. This works with principles such as self-directed learning, self-motivation, and creativity. So these principles I will not explain now, but here some of these principles are listed on this slide. It's one of the most interesting, let's say, alternative streams of education, but we are interested in many other streams as well, not only in the free school movement. The first project which we have, and it would be lovely to include that in the Lusatia Glow project, is to create a high school, because we don't have a high school yet that uses these type of principles. And What I can say about the high school is it's not going to be a traditional high school, but one which is inspired by liberal arts, human ecology, and other profound and holistic approaches. So it's a very transdisciplinary, future-oriented, creativity-oriented type of school. One of the key principles will be personal development, opening the mind, heart, and will. The next step after the high school is the university project, where we have a lot of materials already, a lot of contacts, a lot of ideas, but it does not exist yet. The University for the Future does not exist yet. But we can build on the experience which we have at universities, where a number of us are teaching, as well as from the education at the lower levels. Why do we need such a university in the EU? We need it because it doesn't exist yet. We need a systemic redesign of all dimensions of higher education. We need fresh waters in education, and we need something radically new, not some kind of pseudo innovation. I cannot now spend a lot of time to explain this to you, what it means, a systemic redesign of all dimensions of higher education. But if you're interested, I can send you some materials. The university which we could link to, ETULIS, is a university that is imagined, that we imagine as a true European university that is inspired by the roots of European culture and the vision of a next Renaissance. We imagine that it will be initially in 3 countries, Germany, Poland, Czech Republic, but we hope that it can spread and scale also to other countries. I regard this as quite important for a project that it's not just locally based or particularist or serving only one regional culture. Yeah, this I will skip. I will skip this as well. One of the things that we will move into is to understand the transition in the 21st century. One of the great aspects of the transition is the sustainability transition. And we would like to create a university that is deeply sustainable and that teaches education for sustainability. What this means is lots of things which I will also not go into. You see it here on the slides. For us, sustainability is not a slogan. It's something like a part of every other aspects of life and every aspect of a university. In terms of architecture, we would like to be inspired by multiple approaches. We're particularly interested in ecological and artistic architecture. And one of the things that we could link towards is the new European Bauhaus initiative. We look for an architecture which is, first of all, sustainable. We look for an architecture that is artistic, that is beautiful for the eyes, healthy for the body, and nourishing for the soul. We imagine an intercultural, international university, so not just a local one for the people in the region, but really one which will attract people from all over Europe and potentially even the world. I skip this. We imagine that there will be various models of innovation, that each of the campuses will have a different model and they can learn from each other, so that, you know, it is not a homogeneous university, but a diverse one. The particular approach that we would like to use in the Czech Republic is an approach we can call transformative education. There are 3 worlds of education. One is conventional education, the second one is alternative education, and the third one is transformative education. I cannot explain this right now, but transformative education is the newest, it's only emerging, and one of the aspects of it is that it does not focus on the quantity of information. It doesn't focus on memorization. It focuses on the ways of thinking and experience, the quality of character, and the ability to see the needs of the whole as personal needs. We have a unique model of making the cross-border connections. We imagine that there will be the faculties in Poland, in Lesna and in Jędrzychowice will be connected by cycleways and by cross-country skis in the winter, because it's only 10 kilometers distance. The next part is more specifically focused only on the Czech faculty, which could be called the Faculty of Holistic Studies. We also brainstormed the term which is called the School for Transformative Leadership. We are still flexible on the terminology side. We plan to have a nature-based campus in Jędrzychowice, as well as a smaller city-based campus in Prague, because a number of us, including myself, are living in Prague. So if you look at the kind of campus, if you can imagine the campus in Jędrzychowice, you can already see some of the examples of sustainable architecture in this part of the Czech Republic. So this is the Faculty of Holistic Studies. Could, for example, look like this. It does not exist yet. This is not a real picture from us. This is something that inspires us. And the slogan or the characteristic could be designing regenerative futures. The term regenerative is broader than sustainable. It means transdisciplinary, transcultural. It means future-proof, future-friendly. It means many, many things, whereas sustainable is usually primarily understood as environmental. So the environmental aspect is critical for us, but it's not the only aspect. So what do we want to offer to the youth? We want to offer holistic, integral, or transdisciplinary approaches, which are here explained on this slide. I will not go into the details because it's quite self-understanding and self-explanatory. If you look at the slides, and if you want to get it, you are welcome to have it. We're interested in transformation projects. We're interested in students engaging in community service, service learning, non-profit work, internships, volunteering, social activism. In other words, to be very deeply involved in real life, not only to sit in classrooms. One of the features of transformative education, and the reason why we call it holistic, is that it involves all dimensions of human beings, which means a consciousness dimension. You can also use words like wisdom, mindfulness, self-awareness, capacity to experience unity in diversity. We can speak about hard qualities like emotional intelligence, kindness, gratitude, forgiveness, dedication to others. A will dimension, self-discipline, resolve, persistence, and physical dimensions, balancing impact of intellectual work through sports, martial arts, subtle forms of body work. These are some of the aspects which make up the human being. It's not a complete picture, but you can understand already that it's far broader than most universities, because most universities have a purely intellectual and even a quite narrow intellectual orientation. So the architecture I already spoke about, maybe a little bit about the interior architecture. We don't imagine like straight rows of chairs. We imagine all the rooms in different ways. The shape, sizes, themes, colors, and equipment will foster arts, crafts, transdisciplinary education, practical pursuits. Each building and each room will have a different look and feel. So this kind of uniform factory style education, the mass production of diplomas is not our line of business. We don't want to be an ivory tower either. Ivory tower means that the university is separate from society, that teachers, researchers, administrations are out of touch with the people and the reality of the life world outside the university. I'm not saying that all this applies to all teachers, but I'm saying that it is a bit of a characteristic of the mainstream conventional education system to create ivory towers that are separated from real societal developments and from the future of society. We are very interested in self-directed education. We already practice this in the free school, which means basically students have freedom to design their lives, minimizing obligatory courses, for example. Students have a desire to improve and achieve mastery, not just to develop one seminar paper after the other, which is of no interest and low quality, but a kind of continuous improvement philosophy. Students will have an interest in quality. They will create portfolios, and they evaluate themselves primarily. This kind of constant evaluation of others is part of the disease of higher education. People have to primarily have self-respect and self-image and self-improvement built into their own vision, rather than being subject to constant evaluation by others. We have, however, things like peer review or 360-degree feedback, deep dialogue, and things like that. That's clear. So it's not completely based on self-evaluation only. We imagine it's a university not only for young adults, but it will be open for everyone. For me, learning is lifelong, life-wide, and life-deep, and it ends by the time you breathe your last breath. The University for the Future is something which prepares people for the future. Give you an example. We are interested in exploring the potential of ecological technologies, and we're interested to create cultural creatives, which means self-motivated, creative, and entrepreneurial individuals who focus their energies to help societies during the Great Transition. So we are interested in history, but we are primarily interested in future studies and futures research. We have a total integration philosophy. Here you see some interiors that have been designed by one of our architects, Oldřich Hozman. They are in Prague, but we use them to illustrate that the fact that we want to change the inner landscape and the outer landscape at the same time. So the architecture, the landscaping, the outer side of life and the inner side of life are connected. It's a new educational paradigm. Not many people know about it, what transformative education is. Most people know what alternative education is, but it's something that is beginning to be noticed, and it's very exciting. Here are some statements from the UN and from the European Research Area Board. I will not read them, but they are inspirations that already somebody in policy has been thinking about this. So it's not completely correct to say that we invented it. We are building on something which already here and there existed and exists in the policy world, in the world of institutions. This slide I cannot explain in detail, but I will give you the logic. The logic is that whatever area you're looking at, here we choose being, thinking, and action, there is a hierarchy. And generally, the educational institutions are focusing only on the lower levels of the hierarchy. So the red things here on this slide are usually being ignored. People don't even know what it is. They're not interested in that. But that's the critical thing which we're interested in, the red things. Because the black things, the lower parts are interesting and valuable and already quite well done by some universities. So we will not necessarily be better on those dimensions, but we can add those dimensions which are currently being ignored. This is a very, very short explanation of this slide, but we have no time to go into details now. Here's our curriculum design. Again, I will not go into the details of it, but it's fairly different from a traditional university education. Here's a structure of our modules, whereby the key content modules are called New Paradigms, World Development, Self-Development, and Truth, Beauty, and Goodness. I cannot explain this here right now, but it is something which cannot be fit into a traditional academic structure, which means it doesn't fit any single discipline, any single department, or any single faculty. It's something which truly goes across. The structure of the MA is listed here, whereby the key content modules are called Systemic Transformation, Education for the Future, Organizations for the Future, Communities for the Future, and Society for the Future. Again, I have no time to explain this now, but it's something like a change maker curriculum or a game changer curriculum, an innovator's curriculum, you can say. One of the options would be to make a brownfield transformation, because in Jindřichovice there are a number of factory buildings which are unused, and it's a pity to just let them stand like this. So either we will upgrade them in a very visionary ways where they become creative learning spaces. And if that is not possible, if you cannot make visionary reconstruction of these buildings, we would create new buildings from scratch. This is the view from above of this area. And also in the Polish side, there is an area which is similar to this. So it could be done in a similar way as a brownfield reconstruction, or as a tear down scenario if, as I said, the buildings cannot be enlivened. The nature-based campus looks more like this. This is a building where we have had already workshops, and it's very nice to sit there, because it's basically part of a ranch, of a farm, of a permaculture demonstration project. Beautiful. Our aim is very high. We really want to create a new type of university. We think the university landscape is outdated. We think the paradigm is outdated. We think these institutions are overly bureaucratic and slow moving. But we understand that it can take years to transform brownfields, to get a green campus, to get accreditation and so on. So we can start already now. We can start as an academy before we are a university, which is not accredited and which can straight away offer equivalent programs to BA, MA, and PhD. It's just that we cannot use these titles if we're not accredited. But we believe that there's already a target audience of students who are looking for this type of education. So this will be requiring reconstruction only of, let's say, one building, which is of course much cheaper than a brownfield transformation. That's all from us. We're the team of the Association of Lunaria, Free School Ronya, and Next Renaissance Initiative, and we look forward to collaborate with you. Thank you.
Enzo, thank you very much for your in-depth presentation of the coronation of what we are planning for Lusatia. That's a cross-border university, which have never been done in that place. That would be really something which would be the top of where we are starting now. And we are coming now back where we almost started, and that's again music. Because without music, and without this central content, all words and all logics are sweeping somewhere in the air. So I would like to give now, before we finish completely with a musical recital of our Polish-Belgian string quartet, I would like to give the floor to Olivier Roberti, who, please Olivier, take place, who will shortly explain us what we are planning in the Czech Republic and in Lusatia concerning music. Concerning Lusatia, we heard already most of it from Jon, but it will start with the Šumava Springs project, at the Czech-Bavarian border, where Olivier is the maître de lieu, certain way, And so I would like to give you now the floor to develop our structure, our vision, how indigenous people can develop through music, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
So I think Jon spoke about already a plan with music and youth orchestra. And so I'm not going to be very long. Sorry for that. I'm not going to be very long because Jon spoke about already important things about our structure. What I want to say is music is universal language. And what we'll try to do, I did it in the past with a very known conductor, Seiji Ozawa. I made for 8 years a youth orchestra with him. So what we will do is to create this in Shumava Spring, this academy and this festival. We will give concerts abroad and all over Europe, from the east to the west and the north to the south. We will create this academy. We will create exactly what in Lusatia Jon want to create. We will do the same, but before. So we have to do a competition to choose the young people who will come to this academy and create a chamber music academy. And from this chamber music academy, we will, in 12 days, we will create a youth orchestra, which is not easy. And to get those young, big talent, because we need big talent, because 12 days is short, and they have to be really very good to be able to work in this youth orchestra and to work together. The thing is, what is very interesting is to create ensemble that they can really work together. What I found that very often it's when you create ensemble with quartet, which is the center of the orchestra, string quartet. That's why they're playing today. String quartet are really the center of an orchestra, but we also have quintet, trio. What I find very interesting is when you put those people together coming from everywhere, they speak different language. So they have different spirit and they have different way of thinking because the mother language is different. And to be able from that to create a chamber music partner, quartet, quintet, it's something important because they have different spirit, they are different people, but they have to use their way of talking with unity in music together, same spirit, same way of thinking, same way of playing, same way of breathing, which is a challenge, but it's what we create is education program for high level. But that's something for those young people to do that in 10 days is a challenge and it's very important. And I did it with Seiji also in my academy here in Belgium for 30 years. It makes a huge difference in the level of orchestra. It gives a real high level of string player, mostly string player, but that's the center of the orchestra. So we can build something for the future and for those young people who mostly comes out for conservatoire or they finish or they even have competition, they get prizes. But to be able to play together, it's something different. And from there, make a youth orchestra with this great conductor, which is Jon Marin. This is important. So before doing this youth orchestra and this competition he will do in Lusatia, we have to form the orchestra, which it's complex, possible, will be short, but it should be a big challenge and very important for education of every young musician to be able to play together and to use the same language, because music is a universal language. Thank you.
Olivier, thanks a lot. Crossing the borders with music, with language, with thinking. It's all the time the same principle with different means. And now you will hear then from the Polish string quartet, from the Tarski quartet, a quartet from Grażyna Baciewicz, who is a Polish composer. She is a was a Polish composer from the first half of the 20th century. So we will hear a very Slavonic music, actually, a very emotional music, a very expressive music, something like Leo Janacek in Moravia in the Czech Republic. Grażyna Baciewicz is the female Leo Janacek in a certain way from Poland. So please stay where you are. The musicians are coming.